Okay, I think I've assembled my ingredients for our chocolate muffins, and I'm just going to reuse my bowl, my huge bowl that I made my Mexican hot chocolate milk in, and we'll just do that because I am all about saving dishes when I can. You probably are too. And so this is a little bit different. My muffin recipes usually call for a 400-degree oven. This one's calling for 325. And I am going to pop in and out of the screen because my oven, my sink, and some of my ingredients are in different places if I forget things. So you'll just have to bear with me when I'm not there. So I'm finding that some of these recipes I'm trying off the net do some really different things than what I'm used to. And so I actually shook up my dry ingredients in here. But I will also use my handy dandy whisk, mix my dry ingredients together, and sometimes I actually follow the directions. Also too, I'm finding out like if you use especially freshly ground flour, you're going to need a little bit more flour. It says to stir in the coconut chips. We're not going to do that yet. That just wouldn't make good sense. So what I'm going to do is get this out, and then let's see where we're going with this. And this recipe is by, let's see. I don't see a name right now. I'll probably find it later, so give me a minute. We're going to need half a cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt. This is my own homemade yogurt, and it's going to be fine. It might not be as thick. This batch wasn't as thick. And sometimes that means you need a new starter or you need to add more yogurt, but I find it's going to be fine. We just don't worry about stuff like that, okay? I've been baking long enough that I do have some failures, but a lot of it is sometimes the recipe, or that you know you did something and you were kind of careless. That is really good yogurt, by the way. I have just been using a little honey and a little vanilla, and it is delicious. And then it's going to call for half a cup of honey. I'm going to add that right on top. Okay, and this is a 4-cup measure, and I am really enjoying having one of these. I used to have a batter bowl by Tupperware way back in the day. Do you remember those? And I would mix up my dry ingredients for pancakes or muffins, and then have fresh muffins for my kiddos the next day. And then we're going to need a teaspoon, we're going to need a 1/4 cup of oil. That's one thing I did not get. So let's see, does this have a 1/4 cup line? No, let's see. So we'll use this, and okay, here's another handy dandy thing. I'm finding I need everything I got rid of. And so this is a measure that can use for wet or dry. But what I have found that I love it for, it's got a little spout. So that's a 1/4 cup of canola oil. I've always loved it for like shortening, butters, coconut oil, things that are harder to get out of your measuring things and that aren't quite as nifty to measure. We're going to need 2 large eggs, and so I'm just going to look at some of my daughter's farm fresh eggs, and these look like beauties, don't they? I love them. I love them. Okay. I'm going to crack that into these cold ingredients. I'm sorry. I realize now you absolutely cannot see what I'm doing, but what I am doing, let's see. Yeah, what I'm doing here is mixing this in. So there's a couple eggs. I know we're probably going to need a teaspoon of cinnamon. Let's see. We're going to need 1/3 cup of almond milk. Lately I've been studying up on nutrition again and trying to get some more nutrients into our bodies. You know, as you age too, you don't absorb nutrients the way you used to. When you're sick, of course, you're going to need more nutrients than a healthy body takes to keep running. And though I'm not going to eat a lot of these, my husband loves things. I've always baked for him. I'm sure that's why he loves me. So I've got all the dry ingredients in here, and what I'll do is make a well in the middle, and that simply means like you'll make a little hole in the middle, the edges will rise up. And we'll get that luscious yogurt and honey in here. And then I'm going to need a teaspoon of vanilla, which I have not added yet. And mostly I can't afford real vanilla, but at Christmas time I did buy a couple. I would love to make my own with vanilla beans, and I've got some. I had bought one bean and put the vanilla in, and it just simply smells like alcohol, so I've kind of been afraid to use it. So let me give this a good whisk to mix this all together, because when you're making muffins, the biggest problem you'll ever have is to over stir something. And so you don't want to do that. I don't know if you can see this, but this color is luscious from those eggs, those golden, beautiful eggs. And you know, if the color is deeper in your vegetables, in your eggs, in your fruit, your vitamins are higher. So it might be something you want to keep in mind. So I've been transitioning our kitchen over once again to more healthy foods. And I'm going to look at this because I've made muffins so many hundreds of times in my life. I'm pretty much going to know how thick the batter should look. So we're going to add that in. And then see if I need to add some more of this. And I would say definitely. The thing that I noticed right away about this, okay, my standard recipe is 2 cups of flour, and then I believe it's 1/2 cup of milk and 1/3 cup of oil and 1 egg. So with this having 2 eggs, 1/2 cup, 1/3 cup, 1/4 cup of yogurt, almond milk, honey. This is a pretty runny batter. And part of me is tempted to make them follow the recipe, going, well, if they made the recipe, they know what they're doing. But yesterday I did that, and they didn't know what they were doing. And so, especially with this, we're going to add a little bit more. It says they're moist, rich, and fudgy. Well, we're going to make them a little less, probably dense. It'll be dense in a different way, a little less moist then. And that should be, oh yeah, that looks about right. And then when I've got that in, we're going to take a spatula, the one that I broke off. I do that. I press down on things so hard apparently, and I'm not a strong woman. But apparently I'm stronger than I think I am. Okay, really, I am so tempted to add like more flour yet again. But we'll try it as it is, and then we're going to add, I believe, 1/2 cup of semi-sweet chips. I used to be a canner, And I had tons, literally hundreds of mason jars that I would use. And then because of illness, I got out of canning, and I found these half-gallon jars, something you wouldn't can in, but they store a lot of my dry food stores, and I really like that. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay. And then what I'm gonna do is spray our muffin pan. We'll just gently mix this until the dry ingredients are all mixed in. It's a very soupy kind of batter. And so tell me, like, do you do these funny things? Like, I baked yesterday, and I have a can of this in my baking cupboard. Of course, you can just use oil on a paper towel. You do not have to buy this stuff. This was just convenience. When I got sick, I started going to a lot of convenience things. The kids were gone. But I realized it's not the healthiest thing for me. And that I'd probably be wiser not to. But anyways, I have a set place for this. And I go to get it, and it's not there. And I have no idea what I did with it. That one's a new can. I try to keep a pantry. Someday I'll show you that. I'll show you how I have a long-term pantry, I guess you'd call it, or, you know, stocked up. I've always been a baker, so I've always stocked up on my baking supplies. I hate to run out of baking things. I wish that I didn't love baking so much and that I love vegetables more, but there it is. I really love baking, and I had a sweet friend, Karen. I won't mention her last name, but anyways, she had told me one time that she had stopped baking, and she said she loved baking. Well, she found out, well, she didn't really love baking. What she did is love eating the things she baked. Like baking for other people and not eating any was not nearly as much fun. I can understand that. But I do love to make things for my husband. When we started dating, our whole thing was about food. And I think when we got married, and if he sits down and he's like, oh, this is so good, honey, I am one happy girl. Yeah, I know. I'm that stereotype. She loves feeding her man, you know. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Well, I don't know about, well, maybe it was. I did make them steak dinners and lemon meringue pie, but when we were dating and we went out to dinner a lot, and I used to say, he married me for my lemon meringue pie. So maybe there is some truth to that. So we're just going to fill this up. I want to get every last little bit of batter out of here that I can. And so far we have made, well, I made yesterday chocolate chip cookie dough. Chocolate chip cookies. And that was fine, except I definitely needed to use more of the freshly ground flour. I had actually ground it that day. So it really hadn't had any time to settle. Okay. And then it says, oh, sprinkle on some extra chips if you want. 18 to 22 minutes, center of the muffin comes out. Now, I'm going to be really surprised if this works because, like I said, I bake my muffins at 400 for 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes. And it seems strange to think that these are going to get done. But hold on.